welcome to the Playeressence Vidcast, episode number 22. I'm Furious Francis, back again to deliver the best vidcast on the web. And this was a great week for gaming. We had a ton of great news come out of Sony's conference for the PS4 reveal. We're going to get into all of that, my impressions, the games, all of that good stuff. So we're going to get into that a little bit later. But I want to talk about real quick, if people watch the glasses that I'm wearing. A lot of the people on the message boards and stuff, or a lot of the articles that I write, like if I say that I like the certain games like Xenoblade and The Wonderful 101 and Bayonetta 2 and Metal Gear Rising, Revengeance, they call me a hipster. I didn't know what that was, so I went out and I picked up some hipster glasses. I looked online, saw what it was, read the definition in Urban Dictionary, and I was like, oh, so that's what a hipster is. So I was like, you know what, I might as well play the part. So I went out and I've been wearing these hipster glasses, at least for this episode. So that's why I'm wearing these. And so we're just going to get right into the opinion articles. This week, I had two opinion articles as far as original content goes. Just one of them was that I actually just put up just today, and it's talking about the PS4 and how I'm disappointed with Nintendo after the reveal of the PS4. So I started talking about some things, you know, as far as what Sony did, how they unveiled the system, how they built up hype and, you know, stuff, and how Nintendo needs to follow suit, you know, as far as with their next system, and also to drum up more hype, you know, and stuff for the Wii U. So check that out on the website. It's on the main slider there. And you can also check out another article. I talked about how Nintendo is not doomed. I've seen a lot of Nintendo's going to end up like Sega articles and all this junk from people who probably aren't even old enough to remember, you know, what happened with the Dreamcast and what happened with Sega. They don't remember all of Sega's failings, you know, as far as like the 32X and the Game Gear and the Nomad and the, you know, the Sega CD, Sega Saturn. I mean, Sega failed so many times, it drained their bank account. And by the time the Dreamcast came out, they just didn't have enough money to keep up with, you know, Microsoft and Nintendo and Sony. So that's why they went out of the business. I mean, Nintendo rarely ever fails with their all of their consoles make money. They were coming off the successful Wii, the DS. I mean, the 3DS is doing well. Nintendo isn't going anywhere anytime soon. I just wrote an article talking about how they're not doomed, but they definitely need to kick it into gear. Okay. Oh, and the last thing we also have Aliens Colonial Marines, Hero the Impaler has finished that, and it's been up on the main slider now. Check it out. It's a very controversial game. A lot of people are talking about how it's not, you know, what it needs to be, and you can check it out for yourself. You can see it on there. He has going through one of the missions on there, so check it out if you haven't already done so. Okay, so we are going to skip over the what you're playing and all that stuff. Haven't been playing anything new really, so we'll talk about that next week. But we want to get right into the PS4 and Sony's big unveil. Now, I have not been the biggest Sony fan in the past. I know the PS3, I've had some good times with it. There's some games I liked here and there. I was more of a fan of the PS2 just because of the support they had, the third-party exclusives that they had, you know, DMC and so many other games. Final Fantasy is like you can only get those on PS2. I've always been a fan of like, you know, Nintendo and Sony as far as that era goes. But yeah, the PS4, it came out and really, it rocked my socks, man. It was freaking awesome. The PS4 looks great, and the best thing about the PS4 isn't the spec wise. I don't really think that's it, although it helps it do what it needs to do. I think the functionality of the PS4, how they talked about the share feature, to where you can just share, you know, your gameplay and stuff like that with everybody across Facebook, YouTube, your social networks. That's really cool. Also the touchpad on there, so where you can just kind of like flip through menus. I mean, that's one of the things I love about the Wii U, is being able to flip through menus quickly with the screen. I mean, with the PS4 controller, you're gonna have somewhat, you know, similar functions when you're using, you know, just the DualShock. I like the reinforced barriers across the thumbsticks, because a lot of people, if you notice with the PS3 controller, the thumbsticks here, man, like they can crack and rip open on the bottom of these because they're not reinforced. If you look at the new controller, the new DualShock, man, it's reinforced. They have that extra layer around it, so that's how you know, like when you're playing Madden, you're trying to use that hit stick, or when you're trying to, you know, that's not gonna rip up like other controllers have from Sony in the past. So that's really cool that they got that. It just looks sturdier. The triggers look a little bit better. everything looks really good. So I'm happy with the features. I'm happy with the controller. I'm happy with the being able to the spectator mode, being able to just look at a friend's game, and voice chat with them and talk to them. There's so many times I'm like, man, I have one of my buddies, Andre. He's big into fighting games, and I'm like, but he lives, hundreds of miles away from me. He lives a few hundred miles away from me, and that'd be so cool if I can just be able to hop into him playing, Blaze Blue or Tekken and just watch him as he like destroys people online. Like I can comment and things like that. So I mean that's a great feature that Nintendo needs to somehow implement if they can, and I'm pretty sure Microsoft will have something like that too. I know it started with On Live though. On Live got that thing going, and it looks like Sony picked up on that and is going to do that. So that's really cool. The PS4 just has so many cool features. Like I love that about that. Next, as far as the games go, the games looked really good. I was impressed. Killzone Shadow Fall. It was impressive, like the draw distance and stuff like that I saw. As far as the character models and everything, it's typical to what you'd see on like a high-powered PC. So it's nothing that I haven't seen before. Something that blew me away as far as the character models, but the draw distance and the scope was really, really good. And Killzone's always look good. I mean, even if you take Killzone 3 and you compare it to Killzone Shadow Fall, I mean, you can see how much they pushed the PS3 because it's not so far behind. I mean, Killzone Shadow Fall has a much better draw distance and stuff like that, and of course the textures are better and the graphics, 1080p. But I mean, Killzone 3 by no means is a slouch. So I mean, I'm happy that Sony, is definitely upping their game when it comes to the specs and how the games look. But we'll have to wait and see with Killzone. I'm not sold on the gameplay because honestly the game looked exactly the same as Killzone 3. It didn't look like they're using that extra power to do anything. Now it was just a demo. It wasn't the full game, so we don't know what else they have. But I would like to see developers really take advantage of that extra power in unique and interesting ways. I think one game that is going to take the advantage of that is Watch Dogs, and that game looked phenomenal. I mean, there was some confusion whether it was running on the PS4 or was it running on a PC because we know nobody actually saw the PS4 unit. I'm thinking because they still need to finalize the design, and it's just like Nintendo said, it's just a box. It's not, there's no need to actually see it. It's just a box. So but of course people are saying, oh well, maybe it's just running on a PC. It doesn't look as good as that. Well, I'm pretty sure it's going to be near whatever they showed. So, but to get back to the games, like Watch Dogs looked amazing. Like it looked so good, and the gameplay looked innovative. It looked very, very innovative. Like being able to hack. I mean, what are they going to use like the touchpad for? Maybe being able to do like instant slide hacks and things like that. It could be really cool, which also brings into the point as far as like the Wii U version. So maybe there can be some like PS4 Wii U exclusive features as far as like if you have a PS4 and a Vita with the screen on there, and with the Wii U there can be some parity among the versions. So that would be really, really interesting, and I'd be excited to play that on both with the Vita and with the Wii U, just to see what they can do. So Sony's really upping their game as far as that goes. Watch Dogs looks great. Looking forward to that. I just don't know what system I'm gonna buy it on yet. We'll see. The Deep Down game that they showed from Capcom, which is kind of like maybe Dragon's Dogma or something like that. Man, those characters, they looked freaking sleazy, man. I mean, just the nastiest, sleaziest looking characters that Capcom could think of to put in a game. And they looked out of shape. One of them, the guy that was blocking the fire or whatever, he was like fat. But that's beside the point. That looked like it was CG at some points. It didn't all look gameplay. I need to see more of it. It looks cool, but once again, I need to see how these games play. Killzone was a much better representation of what we can maybe expect from the next generation games. But we also have to keep in perspective with all these games being shown. Like, not every game is going to look as good as Killzone. I mean, I think a lot of people are like, oh my god, look at Killzone. It's going to be like that for... No. Look at the PS3. PS3 had bad-looking games too. I mean, like, not every game looked as good as Killzone, even Sony's first-party games. So you have to also remember that, with the PS4. But it's interesting to see the games, finally running on the next-gen hardware. So That was really cool. They did show a couple other games. I think it was some like a driving game that looked super realistic. I mean, that's great. Drive Club, or I don't know what it was called, but I'm not big into driving games. You just drive. I drive too much in real life, so I'm not trying to do it in a game a lot either. As far as potential for games go, I'm really interested to see like what Madden does, and I'm really interested to see what the Final Fantasy game that they showed off, the Angie's Philosophy, or whatever the heck it's called, that they showed the same demo that they've always been showing. I'm interested to see that, just because Final Fantasy, Square Enix botched this generation with Final Fantasy. The Final Fantasy 13, 13-2, Lightning Returns, all those games suck. Final Fantasy 14 sucks. They had to relaunch and rebrand and get a new director. That sucks. I mean, the only good Final Fantasy games came like on the portables and stuff, and so. And we don't even know where Versus is. So Versus is MIA. So that's not cool. Okay, now all of this stuff is great with the PS4, but I am a little concerned about a couple things. I'm concerned about the price. All these features and all these like Gaikai streaming and all these stuff that they've announced, you know, the cloud-based stuff. I mean, that's going to cost something, like PS Plus, whatever. I mean, Sony isn't doing the best financially as far as their gaming division. They have been losing money. They're not making a lot, and they had to sell their U.S. Headquarters to pay off debts and sell shares and things like that. So I'm a little worried about the cost of these games, and I'm a little worried about the cost that's going to be passed on to the consumers, because this stuff isn't free for Sony to do. So they're not going to give us all these features and all these things for free. So I'm going to kind of be real about that, and hopefully the price isn't too bad to get everything out of the PS4. Hopefully the system comes out of respectable. I would say they might have to price that thing like, at least like $350 to $399 for a lower end model, and then maybe $400 to $500 for a higher model. But they need to get it in somewhat respectable price, because you still have to factor in like getting like the Gaikai streaming and all that stuff, like if that stuff's going to be free or not. So we have to wait and see. And I'm just concerned about the smaller developers out there. Will they be able to put out retail games, at a good pace and make money off of them? We'll see. We had a lot of like THQ and other companies have folded this generation, so I'm just a little worried about that. But other than that, I don't have too much concerns. I mean, Sony also showed off one more game from the Japanese studio. It was like a platformer Quack, or I don't know what it was, but that's not a Japanese looking game. I mean, I don't know. Obviously they're trying to sell that game to like the Toy Story crowd, or like the people who like the Pixar, or Ratchet and Clank, that type of stuff. But man, I mean, I would have loved for them to just say, like, the Japanese studio, like, make like a hardcore, action game or RPG, dude. Like, make something like that can get the Japanese base, excited, and the people who like Japanese style games excited. I'm not sure if that's the type of game, that that's going to help push systems in Japan, because really all they showed was just, American type games. So we'll see. But other than that, I don't really have any big concerns, other than those things I listed. It's just interesting, man. I'm just excited, because now we're going to start seeing the second generation of Wii U games, and we're going to start seeing next generation, PS4 games, and all this stuff looks really cool. Gets me super excited to be a gamer. And lastly, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about just like the next gen race and all. And like I've discussed this many times before on previous vidcasts, but I mean, honestly, Sony is coming out firing. I really think that Sony and Nintendo, it's going to be like that combo. I mean, you guys remember last generation, when people talked about the Wii 60, where you can buy a Wii and a Xbox 360 for the same price as or a little bit under as a PS3. Obviously, the prices aren't going to be like that, but I really think there's going to be like the PSU, man. I mean, I think people are really going to gravitate towards having the PlayStation 4, and having a Wii U, because both of those companies offer excellent exclusive games, and a lot of exclusive games, from Uncharted, Infamous, Killzone, Resistance, Little Big Planet, the new stuff that they have there. And, of course, Nintendo. Their stuff, Smash Bros, Metroid, Zelda. And Microsoft has Halo, Fable, botched Fable, like that stupid Connect Fable, and Forza. I mean, what does Microsoft have to counter the onslaught of games from Sony and Nintendo? I really think Microsoft's in a tough spot. That's why they've been kind of moving towards the Connect and getting, Dance Central and things like that, because I just don't think they want to get into that, games battle, And we saw last generation, Microsoft jumped out to a lead and kept a lot of the the ports and stuff like that, the best versions on the 360, because the PS3 had the cell architecture. But with the PS4 and the Wii U, with their architectures being what they are, I don't really think that people are going to favor the Xbox 360 or Xbox 720 this gen. I think people are going to favor the PS4 version. I think people are going to favor that just because the architecture is easy. It's easy to develop for. It's not as hard. It's not using that cell. And Sony's going to get just as good as ports and probably lead developed many times. So I'm not sure if Microsoft is going to jump out to that lead and have the superior ports, like they did like with Mass Effect and other games early, which a lot of people jumped on the Xbox bandwagon early, including myself. I jumped on that because they did have those games that performed better and didn't have frame rate issues. I mean, I remember Madden 08 on the PS3. I was playing against my friend Andre, man, when we were in college, and it was like a slideshow. It was ridiculous. So, I mean, that's not going to happen, this generation. So it's going to be very interesting. But honestly, like Microsoft, when they show off their console, they need to bring their A game, because Sony has brought their A game, and Nintendo is definitely lacking. They need to also step it up. At E3 is going to be crucial for Nintendo to show off Mario, Metroid, Zelda, Smash Bros., Pikmin, everything. They need to have everything there ready to go, because Sony's going to be bringing it with more games. But I mean, seriously, automated out this generation might be Microsoft, just because they don't have the games. And unless they start developing new IPs and start getting people excited, in their April event that's going to happen, it's going to be tough for them to beat the PSU combo. Because I really think, I mean, I know a lot of PlayStation fanboys are like, oh, well, I don't need a Wii U when I can have my Vita and do that. But we all know that the Vita is not going to be supported as far as the features between the PS4, It's not going to be supported as much because developers will be like, well, everybody doesn't have it. Whereas with the Wii U, everybody has the gamepad. So they're always going to support the gamepad. So I think a lot of PlayStation fans are going to end up getting a Wii U. I think Nintendo just needs to bring out the Bayonettas and games like that will get the Monolith Soft's Xenoblade 2. They need to just bring out those games that will get those PlayStation fans excited to play. Metroid would be a great game to showcase the Wii U's graphics and stuff like that. So Nintendo just needs to do a better job marketing, more commercials, more games, and Sony's doing an excellent job with their games and with their system. Microsoft needs to bring it, because honestly, they could be the odd console out. I mean, I'm not even sure if I'm going to be getting the Xbox 720 or whatever they feel like calling it. I know I'm going to get a PS4. I already have a Wii U, so it's going to be really interesting. I want to know what you guys think, though. Put your comments below. What do you guys think about Microsoft and their unveil coming up in April? What do you think about Sony's unveil with the PS4? And what do you guys think about Nintendo? Are they going to make their comeback run? Is Mario Kart and the 3D Mario going to help? Put them in the comments below. Let me hear about them. And definitely, if you guys have any questions, you can also put it in the comments below on YouTube, or you can email me at francis@playeressence.com or questions@playeressence.com, and I will try to get back to each and every one of you guys. All right, so that basically wraps up the show. Thanks for watching. Of course, check out all of our social networks. On the main page, you will see it on the site. You'll see social links at the top. Like us on Facebook. You get all the exclusive content. Follow us on YouTube so you can see all the videos and vidcasts first. Follow us on Twitter, because we're always updating new posts on Twitter. So if something interests you, you can check it out. And thanks for watching, guys. I really, really, really appreciate it. I know I said that before, but please continue watching. Tell your friends. Let people know about the Playeressence Vidcast. All right. Once again, I'm Furious Francis, and I am out of here. Peace.